Good evening. Earlier today, I was asked what my thoughts were for being up here tonight. Two things came to mind. First, I feel the school has honored me in a way that I would have never thought possible. And secondly, I can be perfectly honest with you, I'm scared to death up here. So, having said that, we're going to switch things up just a bit by switching hats. Those of you that know me know that I'm a lot more comfortable in a hat such as this than the graduation cap. Now, I bet you're thinking to yourself that I'd be the last person you'd be seeing up here giving a speech to the class. Well, my wife was saying the very same thing. I had told her that I was asked to be the guest speaker tonight, and her reaction was, "Are you crazy? Did you fall and hit your head?" Well, a couple weeks back, Mrs. LePerriere asked me if I'd be interested in being the speaker. I didn't even hesitate. I said yes right away. A while later, reality set in, and I remembered my wife's wise words of wisdom. Am I crazy? Maybe I did fall and hit my head. At that point, I think God entered into my mind and told me to put on my big boy pants and deal with the situation at hand. So I'd like to thank Mrs. LePerriere for believing in me and thinking I could actually pull this off. Now, the 8th grade class and myself have something in common. You see, the 8th grade class is graduating and going into high school. I'm graduating and going into retirement. I do believe the 8th graders were on the fast track, being somewhere 13, 14 years old, whereas myself, it took me 67 years to be released from here. Okay, I would like to acknowledge 3 different groups of people here tonight. First of all, this year's graduating class. I would like to thank them for not being so mischievous over the years going to school here. There were some classes in the past that I was actually glad to see them go. But not this class. Secondly, I'd like to thank our 8th grade teachers, our principal and assistant principal, for leading the class in the right direction. Thirdly, I'd like to acknowledge our school secretaries working behind the scenes, keeping things running smoothly, not only for this class, but for our whole school. Now, when I wrote down my thoughts, I gave a copy of my address to Mrs. LePerriere for approval, disapproval, or a complete, "What were you thinking?" I believe her exact words was that it was perfect. So, I hope you don't have anywhere to go real quick after this program, because we could be here a while. Okay. Tell you what, I'd probably fall asleep before I got through all this, so I think we're going to go to Plan B. I'm titling the address tonight as Never Say Never. Looking back over my lifetime, I was never supposed to be working here at St. Peter. The plan for me was to take over our family's business, being a vegetable and grain farmer. After finishing school, I worked on our family farm for 13 years. While doing so, my wife and I had 2 children. We, like most parents, got our children involved in various endeavors. And then while working on the farm 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, I found myself missing out on our children's activities. Around this time frame, the husband and wife custodial team working here were thinking about retiring. Someone suggested that I should apply for this position. My response was that I would never work for our church and school because my career had already been predetermined. A few days went by, and the more I thought about it, the better the job looked with me working here. I thought I'd be a shoo-in. It'd be a no-brainer. Who wouldn't want to hire me with my charm and charisma? Well, I horsed around thinking I had the job before I even applied. Now here's where the farmer comes out in me. That's called counting your chickens before they hatch. Guess what? I missed the deadline for applying, which resulted in me not getting the job. A few months later, another position opened up here again. And at that time, I'm sure I was the first one to apply, which in turn, I was hired and worked here ever since. Now, looking at our 2025 graduates, you already might be thinking about your future career and what lies ahead. Some of you might be thinking, like I did, telling yourself that you would never even think about working for your home church or school as maybe a pastor or a teacher. Well, there are other ways you could have a career in a setting like this. You could become an organist, band director, music teacher, librarian, church or school secretary, or even a custodian/maintenance person, and probably many more positions that I haven't mentioned. So, 8th graders, think long and hard about your future and working in a religious setting. If I can do it, I think you can too. Now, I would like to leave you with a few parting thoughts. The first one is John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. That verse was my dad's confirmation verse, my confirmation verse, my son's confirmation verse, and our oldest grandson's confirmation verse. So that Bible verse is near and dear to my heart. Just like I hope you 8th graders with your confirmation verse holds that near and dear to your heart as well. Secondly, when life gets tough and you feel like you're riding a roller coaster, the ones that get hurt are the ones that jump off before the ride is over. And thirdly, never say never. And as a great speaker, Paul Harvey, used to say from years ago as he signed off from his radio broadcast, and now you know the rest of the story. Thank you, and God bless.